Hatchie, A Dog's Tale, is based on a true story of love and devotion between a man and his dog. Set in the small town of Bedridge, the story is about Professor Parker Wilson, a kind and gentle man who teaches music at a nearby college. One day, while on his way to work, Professor Wilson stumbles upon a lost puppy at the train station. The puppy, who is later named Hatchie, had been shipped all the way from a Japanese monastery to the United States. But due to a mix-up with the crate's tag, he ends up lost and alone in Bedridge. Sensing the puppy's distress, Professor Wilson takes pity on him and brings him home for the night, planning to search for his rightful owner and send him on his way the next day. However, as luck would have it, Hatchie's owner cannot be found, and Professor Wilson finds himself increasingly attached to the little dog. With the help of his friend Ken, a Japanese professor who teaches at the college, Professor Wilson learns that Hatchie is a breed of dog called an Akita and that the character on his collar tag represents the number 8, or Hatchie, in Japanese. Despite his wife Kate's initial resistance to keeping Hatchie, Professor Wilson and Hatchie quickly become inseparable. Hatchie is a highly intelligent and sensitive dog, and he refuses to engage in typical dog activities like chasing or fetching. Instead, he prefers to spend his time by Professor Wilson's side, following him everywhere he goes. One morning, Professor Wilson leaves for work and Hatchie follows him all the way to the train station, refusing to leave without his master. This causes Professor Wilson to miss the train and have to take Hatchie back home. The next day, Hatchie follows Professor Wilson again, and this time, Professor Wilson gets on the train as usual. When he returns to the train station after work, he is surprised to find Hatchie waiting for him, wagging his tail happily. From that day on, Hatchie becomes a fixture at the train station, waiting for Professor Wilson to return home every evening at 5 p.m. This becomes their daily routine, and Hatchie becomes known to everyone in the town as the loyal dog who waits for his master at the train station every day. One winter night, Parker made the difficult decision to banish his beloved dog, Hatchie, to the shed so he and his wife, Kate, could have a romantic evening alone. Hatchie, who was normally always by Parker's side, looked at him with sad eyes as he was sent outside, but obediently went to the shed as he was told. The next morning, Parker left for work as usual, but this time Hatchie didn't immediately follow him. Instead, he stayed behind in the shed, as if he was feeling hurt or upset about being left alone the night before. But after a few minutes, Hatchie gathered his ball and trotted after Parker, determined to catch up to him. To Parker's surprise and delight, Hatchie fetched the ball for the first time that morning, seeming to have forgotten about his disappointment from the previous night. The two played together for a few minutes, but when it was time for Parker to leave, Hatchie refused to take the ball back. So, with a smile and a pat on the head, Parker took the ball with him to work, thinking it would be a nice reminder of their special morning together. As the day went on, Parker couldn't shake the feeling that Hatchie was always with him, even though the loyal dog was miles away. He found himself holding the ball in front of his class, smiling at the memories of their playtime that morning. But suddenly, without warning, Parker collapsed. He had suffered a fatal and unexpected brain hemorrhage, and there was nothing anyone could do to save him. Hatchie, who had been waiting for Parker at the train station as he usually didn't see his master get off the train that afternoon. He sat patiently, wagging his tail and looking up at each person who passed by, hoping to see Parker's familiar face. Hours went by, and the snow began to fall, but Hatchie didn't budge from his spot. He waited and waited, loyal and devoted to the very end. Eventually, Parker's son-in-law, Michael, came to collect Hatchie and bring him home. Despite everyone's efforts to make Hatchie understand that Parker was gone, the devoted dog seemed unable to accept that his master would not be coming home. Each day, he returned to the train station and waited for Parker, hoping that one day his beloved master would appear again. Hatchie's unwavering devotion and love for Parker touched the hearts of everyone who saw him, and he became a symbol of the enduring bond between humans and their pets. As time passes, Kate sells the house and moves away. Hatchie is sent to live with Parker and Kate's daughter Annie, her husband Michael, and their baby Ronnie. However, Hatchie is not content living in a new home with new people, and he finds a way to escape. Determined to return to the train station where he spent so many happy years with his beloved master, Hachi makes his way back to the familiar location. There, he sits at his usual spot, waiting for the return of his beloved Parker. Andy, who has always had a soft spot for Hachi, notices the dog's absence and sets out to find him. When she arrives at the train station, she is heartbroken to see Hachi still waiting there, hoping against hope that his master will return. Despite her own sadness, Andy knows that she cannot keep Hachi from his vigil, and she reluctantly opens the gate and allows the dog to return to his spot at the station. Each and every day, Hachi waits for Parker to come back, refusing to eat or even move from his spot. The hot dog vendor, Jasjeet, who knew the professor well, becomes fond of Hachi and starts providing him with food and water on a daily basis. Despite the kindness of Jasjeet and Andy, Hachi remains a faithful and loyal dog, always waiting for his best friend to return. On the 10th anniversary of Parker's death, Kate returns to the small township to visit her late husband's grave. She is stunned to see a now elderly Hachi still waiting at the station, just as he has been doing every day for the past decade. Overcome with grief, Kate sits and waits with Hachi, sharing in his vigil. At home, Kate tells the now 10-year-old Ronnie about Hachi and the unbreakable bond that he shared with his master. Meanwhile, the ever-faithful dog continues waiting until one cold winter night, when he is seen lying very still in the snow. As he drifts off to sleep, Hachi is comforted by a vision of Parker, who finally appears and lovingly beckons the dog to come to him. Hachi never woke up after that, but his love and loyalty to his master lived on forever.